Question 3. Janine has a bag of buttons. They are either green, red, white, or blue, and their proportions are represented in this pie chart here. We have been told that there are 60 green buttons in the bag. So this part of the pie chart represents 60, which means 90 degrees represents 60 buttons. So I can actually write here that 90 degrees is or equals 60 buttons. In terms of part A, it's asking us to work out the total number of buttons in the bag. So the total would be the whole circle. In a whole circle, we have 360 degrees. So we have 90 degrees, and we're looking for 360 degrees. Now we can get there in one go if we multiply by 4. But even if you didn't spot that, and you're kind of thinking, well, what about if I figured out what 1 degree was first, and then ended up with 360, either way, you'd be fine. As long as you follow direct proportion where you divide both of these by the same number, or then multiply both of these by the same number and end up with 360 degrees, you're going to be okay with this. The quickest way, however, would be to multiply them both by 4, which means we're going to end up with 240 buttons in total. So that's the answer for part A. For part B, work out the number of buttons that are in the red. Work out the number of red buttons in the bag. So work out the number of buttons in the red section of the pie chart here. Well, that is 120 degrees. It just so happens you've got a similar question here where we know what one of the angles are, and we could also use this one as well. We're trying to turn that into the number 120 degrees, and as long as we do the same on the other side with whichever one of these we start with, we'll end up following the rules of direct proportion and we'll be okay. So in this one, if we actually divide 360 by 3, that will work out perfectly. And therefore, if we divide 240 by 3, we will get 80 buttons as our answer. But again, if you decided you want to divide by 360 first to get 1, and then times by 120 afterwards, that would also be fine. There's lots and lots of ways in order to solve direct proportion problems. Even if you can't spot the simplest way, finding 1 is always a safe option in terms of any direct proportion question. So 80 buttons is the answer for B. Next part. Janine also has a tin of counters. The colors and the frequencies, in other words, how many of each, are listed in the table. And the question is asking us to find the fraction of counters in the tin that are black. So we have 40 black counters out of a total of 200, meaning 40 over 200 is our fraction in terms of its raw form, let's say. That would give us the first mark. And however many steps you take to simplify this, you will end up with 1 over 5. So if you divide top and bottom by 40 here, that will simplify it. But let's just say you halved top and bottom, and then you divided top and bottom by 10, and then you divided top and bottom by 2. Either way, as many steps as you take, you will end up with 1 over 5. You could also just type this in your calculator, given that we're allowed it, and it should give you that as the answer as well. So a fifth, done.